When you choose to earn your degree online from Southern New Hampshire University, you're saying yes to new opportunities and to new adventures. You're saying yes to something big, something you've always wanted to do. If earning your degree is one of your goals this new year, S08-U can help you get there. With low online tuition, no set class times, and multiple term starts per year, you can set the pace that works for you and save money along the way. Visit s08u.edu today to get started.
Hey folks, and welcome to Typology, the show on which we explore the mystery of the human adventure and the human personality, all through the lens of the Enneagram. My name is Anthony Skinner, producer and co-host. So happy to have you here, folks. Listen, today we did a little pivot. We're coming up on a special holiday season. So Ian and I took advantage of this time to create a special episode for you on practicing gratitude. I think you're really going to love it. It's something that we did for our Typology Institute membership podcast, and we thought it was so relevant and such a good idea that we wanted to share it with you all here. So anyway, so excited for you to hear this special episode on gratitude and the practice of gratitude. I hope it helps you lean into this holiday season as you get together with family and friends. Hey, we're wishing you all a great Thanksgiving holiday. And now, without any further ado, here is your host, Ian Cron.
Hey, Anthony, here we are again in studio at my home in Nashville, Tennessee. And of course, what season are we in?
Thanksgiving.
Yes. It is a season of gratitude, and that's actually what we want to talk about today.
Come on.
That's what we want to talk about. What we want to talk about is how and for what can each Enneagram type be grateful as regards themselves, right? Mm-hmm. In other words, like, what should fours, particularly in their healthiest expression, be grateful for in regard to who they are?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I hope everybody has opportunity on a regular basis to celebrate and be grateful for the gifts they bring to the table of life.
Oh, absolutely.
And so today, I just thought, let's go through the types.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 3 things that each type should be grateful for as regards the gifts that they bring to life's table.
Yeah,
now,
I love this.
To be clear, I'm going to be talking about, obviously, healthy, self-aware examples of each of these types. Because
the high side.
Yeah, we're going to be talking the high side of these types because there's nothing to be grateful for on the low side of these types. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Unless we were going to be talking about, gratitude for our challenges. No, we're going to be talking about these types on the high side. Now, the other thing is I in some instances, I really tried this time to work. There are some things that all of us know. I could say, oh, well, one of the things that, one should be grateful for is they can improve everything. But we all kind of know that. Right. So what I tried to do this time was I really try to think about things that we don't often think about for each of these types, things for which I'm grateful, about each of them. So you ready to go through them?
Yes.
So let's talk about what each type can be grateful for in regards to who they are and what the gift is that they have.
Let's kick it off with ones.
All right. So ones, ones typically have a strong sense of life purpose. You think about ones, like, remember in the book, in Road Back to You, I talk about Atticus Finch, or we talk about Gandhi. We talk about, Hillary Clinton, regardless of whether you like her or not. All of these people, Janet Reno would be another one. I mean, these are people who all...
Met her, by the way.
You did?
I did.
How fascinating.
Yeah.
That requires a story later after the show.
Yeah.
These are all people who had a very strong sense of purpose in life. Like for this I was born, right? I think another thing they're really incredible at is just bringing order out of chaos. And that's a gift.
That is a gift.
For people like you and I, having someone who can come in and bring order out of our chaos,
You are welcome to my life.
You are welcome to my life. I have a friend of mine, and she worked in the healthcare industry, and she got a job offer from another company that, their customer service thing was a complete mess. And she came in, man, in 6 months, completely turned the company around, that department around, because she just knows how to come into stuff that's really broken and a mess.
Yeah.
And she just knows what to do and what order and pulls it together, and that's amazing, right? Another thing is they have sort of this inner knowing about what is right or wrong. Okay. And they
Talk
make
more about that.
Well, they also then make choices based on those convictions. So a couple of times in my life, I have suggested something, a course of action to one friend, and they'll stop me and they'll pause and they'll go, well, Ian, that's kind of a questionable thing to do. And I didn't really know. It's not like I was in the know that I was like trying to do something unethical. Yeah. I just wasn't thinking through all the implications of something. Right. Yeah. Right. And this person would just say, I got a feeling that that's not entirely ethical. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're completely right. Like I didn't even think about that. Yeah. They just spot it right away.
I love that.
That's a cool thing.
How about twos?
All right. I was at a workshop in Orlando last week, and I was watching a two interact with somebody else. And one of the things I love, now, of course, this can be a not so good thing, but I'm going to share with you about when I saw it as a good thing that a two should be grateful for, is the ability to feel what others feel.
I love that.
So it's not a matter of just acknowledging what someone else feels. Where twos have to be careful is that they don't end up having the feelings of that person for them.
Right.
But they can feel what others feel, which I think is beyond empathy. It's like, it's a level of attunement that no other type has. Yeah. So I think, another one would be, twos honestly feel like it's a privilege to be allowed into other people's lives. I think that's a beautiful attribute. Wow. Like they do not take it for granted when other people let them into their lives, but they really see it as an honor and a privilege to be let in behind the veil.
That's cool.
Of another person's life. And the other thing is, and this is a big one, when a two is healthy, what they learn is that the more they give to themselves, the more they enjoy giving to others.
So break that down for us a little bit.
Okay, because it's a big idea.
Yeah.
The more they give to themselves, the more they enjoy giving to others. Okay? And if you do the inverse, it's not a good equation.
Right.
And I just think it's the nature of the spiritual universe. Sometimes, it's like these paradoxes exist.
Yeah.
And because you think it was the inverse, right? Yeah. The more they enjoy giving to others, the more they enjoy giving to themselves. Right. And that's just not the case.
That's the case, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I just think that's a natural thing, right? Yeah. The more they take care of themselves, the more pleasure they get from taking care of others.
Yes, I love that.
And they also have the right juice and motivation at that point.
Yeah. All right, threes.
Man, one of the things that people don't credit threes with as much as I think they should is for how inspiring they are. And they have this amazing ability to inspire people to do things that they really didn't know they could do.
Yes.
And they believe in other people.
Yeah.
And communicate their beliefs in other people in a way that moves them to do things they otherwise couldn't do, which is completely a wonderful gift that threes should be grateful they have.
Oh, man. Again, we're talking about the healthy three, but I think a healthy three can put their finger on something special that someone has and help them get launched.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So here's another one.
Yeah.
I think that obviously when they're healthy, threes suddenly become inwardly rather than outwardly motivated.
Talk about that some more.
Yeah. Well, an unhealthy three tends to be concerned with externals rather than internals. Right.
Right.
They
how
tend,
they present
or we oftentimes say they're more concerned with how they seem rather than about how they are.
Yeah. So how they're perceived.
And I just think it's beautiful when you, and I'm very grateful when I meet a three who is inwardly rather than outwardly motivated. You can feel them operating from a deep place of conviction and security, right? They're secure in themselves.
Makes me think of Maddie Jackson Selectman.
Oh yeah. Right. Alan Jackson's daughter.
Yeah. Like she's a great example of someone who had done some work and like, wow, you're a three.
We've had a couple of threes like that.
Yeah.
That were more inwardly motivated.
Yeah.
I think, and we kind of conflated this with another one, but they not only inspire people to do things, but I just love how they can put a spotlight on another person's gifts and says to them, do you see those? Do you see those? And do you see how powerful they could be? Mm-hmm. That's why, if you can get a 3 who's a mentor in business, it's really great.
Oh, yeah.
In New York, they call them, who's your rabbi in business, and you want a rabbi who's like, bringing you up the food chain with them. But
that's right.
It's kind of doing it with just a highlight on believing in you. Not just inspiring, but believing in you.
Yeah.
Right. That's a very powerful thing. All right. Let's talk about 4s.
Yeah.
All right.
Make me feel good right now.
All right. Well, here's what 4s can be grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
They should be grateful that they can look pain in the eye and find something better in it.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
4s should be grateful that they can help other people find beauty and redemption in darkness and tragedy.
Yeah. I love that.
So it's not just creativity, right? It's the ability to stand in those weird spaces and help other people find redemption in tragedy.
Yeah.
And just like...
It's beyond just like reframing you're talking about.
Oh, no, it's not spinning or reframing.
Yeah.
No, this is like a genuinely like seeing like, well, here's how this can serve us in the world.
Wow.
You think about Don McLean. This just came to me, right? I'm just whatever. Don McLean's song, Starry, Starry Night, about Vincent van Gogh, right? And it's a melancholy song, but it really reveals how, Van Gogh's, his suffering gave birth to this art that 100 and some odd years later is still moving people and helping them make sense of their suffering. That's a very 4 thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. I think another thing is that 4s should be grateful that they know how to be vulnerable about their own weaknesses and failures in order to help others. 4s will be very vulnerable. Like, I've really struggled with X.
Yeah.
And they say it. They'll say it in a public setting, or it's really risky sharing.
Yeah.
In order to help others.
It gives other people courage.
And the ability to get in touch with their own, to help others know they're not alone.
They're not alone. Feel seen.
They feel seen, and connected.
I love that.
Yeah. Another thing they should be grateful for is that they help others see their suffering as a path to transformation. So it's not like, okay, let me just help you see redemption and beauty in tragedy. It's a matter of, oh, by the way, your suffering is the source of your transformation. It's not arbitrary. It means something. You're suffering in the context of the larger story of God. It's not void of meaning. And it can help you experience transformation on a level that there's nothing deeper.
Like suffering is the doorway to certain types of transformation that nothing else will take you there.
And 4s help you see that. All right. 5s.
5s.
All right. Here's something 5s should be grateful for. 5s can remain open-minded long after other people have rushed to judgment. So, in my recovery program, we say beware of contempt prior to investigation. Right? Now, you and I have met people, right?
Yeah.
You'll say something and they judge it prior to even investigating it.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, well, have you even checked it out? It's like, well, a lot of times people rush to judgment and close their minds to things way too early.
Right.
Right? And the 5 just kind of remains curious. I just think that's an incredible gift.
Oh, it's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
I think another thing they can be grateful for is that they have this ability to see the inner workings of things, like the inner splendor of things, I sometimes say. And because of that, they have incredible powers of prediction. Like when you can see the inner workings of something, you can kind of have foresight or predict what's going to happen, right? That's a big thing.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, and this is something I'm really grateful for when it comes to 5, is I think they're the best listeners on the Enneagram. They're just the best listeners on the Enneagram.
Yeah.
They can just take it in. They don't interrupt. They have such analytical minds. They can give such wonderful feedback, and sometimes just none at all. They're just great listeners.
Yeah.
Really great listeners.
Love that.
All right, sixes. So one of the things that, we laugh about with sixes is their worst case scenario thinking. But where does it come from? A wildly rich imagination.
Right.
Again, what's worst about you is also what's best about you. They have really great imaginations.
Right.
Right. And I don't hear enough people express gratitude to sixes for their rich imaginations. I think something people don't know about sixes we should be grateful for is how they can take logic and emotions into account when they're, looking at something, right? A situation of some kind. And that's not a thing that every type can do. They can be binary, but not with sixes. They can be able to see the logic and the emotions at the same time.
It's one of the things I love about my son, who's a 6. Love that. All right. Got another one?
We tend to think of 1s and 8s as people who are really concerned with justice. And those are the two people talk about all the time, right? Reformer 1s and 8s in general. But we don't really credit 6s with it. And they're deeply committed to causes and to people.
And to people, yeah.
And I think, but the deep commitment to cause, I've known a lot of 6s that, they're part of the political activists, or they are for different reasons, but still they have a deep commitment to the health of community and they do care about fairness and justice too, like 1s and 8s,
And I'll say, back to your number 1 point, their rich imaginations do also seem to make them oftentimes so damn funny.
Oh my gosh. Totally.
Love the humor of 6s. All right, 7s.
Yeah, man, 7s. Well, what should 7s be grateful for? I think they should be grateful that they're in touch with awe and wonder, which I think makes them naturally spiritual. There's one 7 in particular, the 1-to-1 or sexual 7, that I think is notoriously able to be in touch with the mystical side of life.
Wow. Interesting.
And I think part of it is tapping into awe and wonder. And when I'm in the space of awe and wonder, it's such a gift. The feeling of transcendence and life just seems more in high def, it's like really great. 7s, man, they can go there a lot. I think one of the great things about 7s they should be grateful for is how their ability to handle and adapt to a change in plans. Like when life changes, they can adapt really quickly. Now, there's a lot of types that can't.
Right.
There are a lot of types who do not like a change in plans, Like off the top of my head, 1s don't like it. 5s don't like it. 6s don't like it. And 8s often don't like it. 9s, they like predictability too, because they don't want to burn a lot of energy having to make to adapt. But 7s are great. They're like, oh, we're going to do that now? Great, let's do it. Fantastic. This is a big one for 7s. You've heard me say that one of the gifts of the 7 is what I call, what the Big 5 personality assessment calls openness to experience. And so what is that? It means that, remember that 7s are typically intellectually very curious, right? And they're creative, and they see the world differently than other people. They really do. It's almost like 4s. They just see the world very differently. And what that means is they can allow more information into their heads that other people just naturally block out. I think it's called cognitive inhibition. They don't have the same inhibition when it comes to thinking that other types do. And because of that, then they're able to make connections between things that on the surface appear completely different. If not contradictory.
They can be great problem solvers in that way.
Oh, Steve Jobs.
Totally.
Who I think, by the way, was a 1-to-1 7 I just mentioned about, the ones that are more open to the mystical. When you go back in his history, if you read Walter Isaacson's biography of him, which if you haven't, you should, it's fantastic. But Jobs, early on in life was in India checking out gurus and swamis and dropping acid.
Totally.
So there was this search and this sort of fascination with the transcendent. With the bigger meanings of life. And so these were big ideas that, the 7 can get really swirly in. So yeah, I mean, it's really one of the things that I love about 7s,
Yeah.
So 8s, yeah, man. Well, obviously, here's something that's great. Again, this is a healthy 8. When an 8 should be really grateful when they can surrender to a power greater than themselves. When they can acknowledge and surrender to a power greater than themselves, I mean, they just turn into something amazing. But now part of that is just the recognition that, and the acceptance that we have very little control in life. That takes a lot for an 8 to get to.
Yeah.
But when they do, man, it's something to be really, really grateful for. I don't think, we mentioned this with 6s, but few people really give 8s enough credit for how funny they are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 8s can be really funny, a little irreverent at times, but very, very funny.
Yep.
Yes. And of course, I mean, this one is more typical, but I just have to highlight it. Obviously the justice thing is huge. The fairness thing is huge. I'm always, amazed at the 8's capacity, the way they see fairness and justice. One of my kids who's an 8 was home recently, and it's really a joy to watch and listen to really their, not obsession, but their radical concern for things and activism.
Yeah.
It's not just talking.
That's right.
Big time it's doers. Financial generosity toward things they care about. Yeah. It's, showing up at protests. I get a text frequently that says, hey, you know what? This is happening in Tennessee, and here's a number you can text to tell your state senator that you object to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah. That's
you're even on top of what's happening in my state. All right, let's move to 9s. 9s, even more than that 1-1-7, I think more than any other number, are natural mystics. You ever, I think I've told this story on the show before, but there's a thing called nature mystics, right? And we talk about that in the Christian tradition, other traditions, right? That in touch with the natural order, there's a sort of a mystical dimension to it. And I talk about my wife, Annie, who's a 9, and how, there's a tree in Percy Warner Park that she has always identified with her life journey and inner strength. And every time she's out there, she goes to this big, huge tree and puts her hand on it.
Yeah.
Just puts her hand on it to connect with her inner strength. And she didn't tell me that for a long, long time.
Yeah.
We were out yesterday at Vanderbilt, and we saw that this huge tree had fallen, and we went over to it, and there had actually been a plaque in front of it saying that tree had been there since the Revolutionary War.
No way.
And Annie was kind of stricken.
Wow.
I just was observing her. It's like, it's like almost like a person went down, not a tree.
Yeah.
There's this connection to nature and the kind of the mystic side of that 9s have. It's very, very, they should be grateful for it.
Yeah, I love it.
Also that 9s are able to pick up on the inner states of others.
Yeah.
Like they just know what's going on. Now they're going to have a different reaction to that knowing than a 2 will, but they still have this ability to pick up on the inner state of other people. And finally, no other number is better at living in the present moment than 9s. Now, that's a great gift.
It is.
Right? That idea that being great at living in the present moment, that's an amazing gift they should be grateful for.
It is awesome.
All right, so we're done with these 9 types.
Yes.
So, what do you think, Anthony? You got anything else?
That's all I've got.
All right, to all of you listening, you know how we end the show. May you have love, may you have joy, may you have peace, may you have healing, may you have rest. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today,